I was thinking today about intuition, and I think for individuals who have high intuition and can read potential energy, you can really be thrown for a loop when you're quite sure of a connection, or you're quite sure of a path, or whatever it is, and it just doesn't pan out. You run in, it's like a maze where you run into the wall again and again. You can't find your way through. And I don't think that means we're really meant to doubt our intuition. I think the intuition, it kind of reads what could happen, an energy that's there. But the other guy has to, both parties have to be open to it. And I think in this case, one person did not want to be known. That they were trying to block the intuition of the other guy. That's the sense I get. And the other image that came to me was if you have a campfire and you're going to put it out very carefully because you don't want it to, be a wildfire out of control. You really have to sometimes work quite hard to put it out. Because if you just sort of, that's good enough and walk away, the fire can burn underground, particularly where there's a lot of pine needles or, sappy stuff that just keeps it going. Sometimes you have to bury it with dirt. I don't know. It's like trying to put out the fire. I also got the image of, there was an idea that when people were nomadic but had discovered fire, they would keep a little pot of fire, which they'd feed, while the tribe moved on. Somebody was responsible for keeping, they were the fire bearer. They had to keep it going. So when they got to the next place, I'm getting all kinds of fire images, so let me just see where we're at. Is it these? Is it this? 8 of Wands, fire energy, Wands energy. It can be pure energy, a kind of, that's not, it can be about conversation, but I think here it's more like, well, it's intuitive. Wands are intuitive. We were just talking about what happens when you have an intuition that this is a thing, and you can feel the shape of it almost, and you feel the potential out there. You're almost time, you're able to intuitively look behind the veil and see what it's potential energy. So I don't know if this is a conversation or just somehow with the heart at the center. I think it's intuition. Okay. Under that was 3 of Wands. And I'm going to try not to look at the rest of the underside. A card of the future. Also Wands energy. Intuiting about the future. I mean, this is pretty spot on. 3 of Wands, 3 of Cups. Now I'm turning this thing. I think we're supposed to get to these ones. So 3 of Cups is a card of reunion, friendship, mutual affection in the future. Somebody intuits that's, that if we could ever get in the flow, headed in the same direction, or even just exchanging energies, talking, or a kind of unspoken conversation where we understand each other. we could have this reunion, we could have this happiness of Three of Cups in the future. So what happened? Oh my goodness, Ace of Cups. That's the opportunity for it. It's an offering, kind of from the divine. This could be the High Priestess, another highly intuitive, it's all about intuition here. The High Priestess, who can see beyond the veil and read the energies. It's almost like, with this spider web thing coming out from, the lighting sucks. It's almost like, if something happens away from her, she's connected to the web, sort of to the what connects her to all things. She can feel it. Like if it were a spider, they'd be able to feel the vibrations in the web. Divine feminine energy of high intuition. But also it can be like, it can't be something that's readily communicated by the usual. This is almost like the web too. Like the movement in the web. But she can't speak about it by the usual means. It's not sword energy communication, logical, sequential. Doesn't have that. If A equals B and B equals C, does A equal C? It's that kind of. It's not a communication that, or words that are. Divine things in a linear way, because it's all about the moon energy, the intuition, what's not been spoken, maybe even kept inside. Ace of Cups speaks to the personal. Can be a self-love. Whoever this High Priestess is, card of Cancer and Libra, they're not going to lack in this. Their emotions, their Cancer energy is really tuned in. They're almost like they're sensitive, but it's almost like, they're feeling the vibrations in the web. Knight of Pentacles. I think they know somebody's coming. That somebody who's incredibly slow. It's almost like they're walking in, that I got the image of the tar pit, the La Brea tar pits, where there were bones of the woolly mammoth, where the woolly mammoth had somehow wandered into the tar pit and couldn't get out. They were heavy, so they sank in, and millennia later, the archaeologists found the bones. This is almost like that kind of La Brea tar pit slowness. And you can see the horse that the knight is supposedly riding isn't even moving, just has their head down. I don't know if you've ever tried to ride a horse that when they put their head down, you can't even get their, it's very hard to get their head up so that we can have forward movement. They're just tuckered. They just are stuck. Interestingly, there's the moon in the background, half moon. Maybe something like they're halfway there. Somebody's halfway there. Because it's going to happen in the future. Perhaps the near future. Three of Wands is not very long. And whatever it is, it's the transformation, these butterflies. anticipating this joyous transformation, but they're in the tar pit. What's the tar pit? Oh boy, I'll say Three of Swords. Injury, pain, perhaps somebody who thinks, sword energy, that somebody did this on purpose. They think somebody did it on purpose. Three of Swords, Three of Cups, Three of Wands. 9 in Major Arcana is Hermit. I think somebody was very slow in understanding themselves. So they ended up kind of in a tar pit, in a mental, they were immobilized by pain and by their inability to move forward. Because they wanted to. They wanted a future. They wanted reunion. They wanted happiness. And they don't understand. They don't understand with their analytical mind why this got so bogged down. I think maybe they're intuitive. Do they share the intuition of the High Priestess? I'd say yes. Because again, wands are intuitive energy. And this is fast forward movement. You know, I think they want to come in, this Pentacles person, to address this hurt, this separation. I think they're optimistic that they can do this. You know, they're at the very beginning of the, did I say Knight of Wands? It's Page of Wands. They're optimistic that they can do this, but they're at the very beginning of the path. You know, this is in the future. And they may be getting downloads now, this Knight of Pentacles person. Knight of Pentacles person. 9 of Pentacles. That's somebody who's independent and good on their own. And I don't think that's the Knight, because the Knight is bogged down in the tar pits, right? But let's find out. And the tar was pain. They may have felt too broken. And it may have like migrated from their brain. I think I'm too broken. I'm too hurt. I'm too, you know, I may have done this to somebody else. Somebody else may have done this to me, or both. I get the feeling it was a chain reaction. Somebody hurt them, so they were kind of totally bogged down in the pain. And by going so slowly, they hurt the person who had anticipated this High Priestess who could see a future with it. You know, she could see through the veil. He, she, they, the intuitive one. On Three of Swords, Knight of Swords. This person wants to talk about it now. They want to rush in and say something. You know, in no uncertain terms, not this kind of intuitive, vibey 8 of Wands thing, but really an emphatic, clear message, and not even a message, they're showing up to say something. Six of Pentacles on 9 of Pentacles. They want equal exchange. They've managed to somehow extricate themselves, or they think they have, from whatever was slowing it down so badly, like the suck of the was something that had reduced it to like their bare bones were exposed, or their bare bones were stuck in the tar. And the tar was all about the pain that they'd experienced and that they had dealt somebody else who they loved. They knew that this, because I think this is the other person grounded in their lives, they knew that that person deserved equal exchange and maybe wouldn't accept anything less than that. And they may be rushing in to say, okay, I've grown, I'm ready, now I can match your energy. No longer stuck in the tar pit. On Ace of Cups, Hermit. They may have undergone some sort of spiritual transformation. Maybe they needed a time when they couldn't move until they knew themselves. Hermit energy, the 9 card. You know, until they had that self-knowledge, that knowledge of their core self. It's like a spiritual retreat. They may have actually gone into I think it's like a time out of the soul. And it maybe felt like La Brea tar pits, but in that same earth energy, it like led to a spiritual, some sort of wisdom. Like I was slowed down to the point I couldn't move. I had to process my pain to the point where I could talk about it clearly. A card of Virgo, by the by. The only major, well, that and the High Priestess. They're both highly spiritual cards. Oh, Manischewitz. On 9 of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, rather, there's the Capricorn card of the Devil. That's stuck energy. That is indeed the tar pit. You know, and it's a situation where this person, it seemed like in their lives, whether they struggled to get out, you know, if they struggled, they kept sinking. And if they gave in, they kept sinking. Like there was no, they felt like there was no way to release themselves. And it might be that this highly spiritual person, High Priestess, also Hermit, was left in isolation because this other guy was stuck. So they used that time, they used their isolation to really discover their love of themselves. Because I think they were kind of devoted to this other person. They kept waiting for them to catch up. But they were really bogged down. And it was something codependent and some sort of shadow energy that made them stay stuck because they felt like they couldn't live without whatever this other thing was. But in fact, they were stuck and they kept themselves in this embryonic state. There was no life there. It was the tar pit. It was a place where you try to move and you can't. Why couldn't they move? I mean, we see it's pain, but what's the way out of the tar pit? What's the, well, transformation? A really phoenix-like energy where you have to go through some, I think it's some kind of ego death. it's some kind of ego death. What does that mean, some kind of ego death? Seven of Wands. It's almost like turning the obstacle, Seven of Wands, what blocks you, into a strength. Turning what blocks you into a strength. You know, setting boundaries of some kind. While you're transforming, I think they needed to pour all their energy into their own transformation, this Capricorn person. Like they had no energy to spare. It all had to be focused on themselves and their own transformation. And there was a lot of work to do. Capricorn energy, hard work. You know, they had to really dig down and expose shadow. That's what devil is. And it's the strength and the courage, really. Capricorn, in their best expression, is somebody who will work hard to free themselves. And I think that there they come in fast. This is, I think, the last one out. Well, Six of Wands. From the Seven of Wands to the Six of Wands. From this place of, I've got to gather my strength before I can do anything else. And then this card of victory in forward movement. You know, able to reach for the stars. It's like all the power of the universe surrounded them. All the stars were around them. And this sort of circle of fire. They were protected while they underwent this change. And again, it's all wands. It's intuitive. Like suddenly they're able to spring forward because after the transformation, they too could tap into their intuition. Hermit is a card of healing. I think that this high priestess / hermit person taught them, because hermit is a teacher, how to love themselves. You know, I think that this divine feminine basically said, you know, you can't get out of the tar pit until you do this shadow work. Until you love yourself. Because I think they did break divine feminine's heart, but that she healed. She did the work. She grounded herself. She attained some sort of inner wisdom, did that kind of work, and they're slower than she is. Or, you know, one is slower than the other. It doesn't have to be to do with gender. But she showed them how to do it. We've gotten that again and again. You know, that she was the living Pentacles energy, the living example of how to lead an authentic life. You know, she showed them. She lit the path. And I think her first lesson was, you know, you've got to love yourself. This is what she learned in her own life, and she somehow by example showed them how to do it. She lit the path. He, she, they, whatever, fill in your own. And I think there is some optimism about the future. There's potential energy to have success here. Gathered the fire energy, the fire in the belly, and now leaping forward. And there's this heart here. You know, moving on from the wounded heart to the It's the power of intuition that kind of saved the day. We have on the board the death card, which is Scorpio, the phoenix, the fiery transformation, where everything that was almost had to be burned down for this person to free themselves. Virgo in the Hermit, Cancer, Libra in High Priestess. The balanced one. This is extremely imbalanced energy. It's extremes. It's pretty crazy. It's the tar pit. And is that all? That's it. Capricorn, Libra, Cancer, Virgo. Lots of earth energy. And the death card, Scorpio. Great emotional transformation. I think that this person, because 9 speak to the personal, and so do aces. I think this stuck person learned the lesson of self-love. They had to go into isolation too. As painful as it was, this separation, 3 of Swords, was necessary for this person to really begin to move forward with any truth or integrity. They were coming out of it. It's almost like they had the tar still on them. But there's an opportunity for them to become malleable and be able to harness their internal chutzpah to leap forward. That's what they want to do. Wands energy, they want to do it. They want to do it. Are we done? We're done. It feels like it's not done, but I think that that's because this potential energy is still building. And I think maybe like that ego death, they needed to dampen down that, because this can be an egoic card too. Look at me, aren't I cool? I can leap forward. Not in this case. I think that it was they had to put out they had to transform redirect their power toward forward movement, and it took all the strength they had to undergo this change, to free themselves and so forth. And that's it. That's all, folks. And yeah, I'm trying to see how much time. Yeah, that's about right. I wanted to say, yay, we have 50 members. This is amazing to me. I mean, it's just like, oh God, you guys. And I'm going to try to get out a members reading, if not today, maybe tonight or tomorrow morning. You're at the top of my mind, you guys, and you blow me away. I think it's a great collective. I really do. I think we shine the light for ourselves, and the reflective light, we can shine it for other people in our lives. We're basically teaching self-love by loving ourselves. It makes us radiant somehow. Shine on, sisters, brothers. I'll see you next time.